Yo, welcome back to the Sing Zone podcast. Today we have a very special guest joined here by our hosts, of course, Breezy, Sci. If you're out there, we hope you're alive and well because we know we can make it. You couldn't make it this time around, but we also have our special guest, Flame of Rebirth. How's it going? How's it going, brother?
It's going well. Thank you very much for having me. Hopefully we can have a great, memorable show today. Hello?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna get into all kind of things. Also, if you guys, I changed a few things around. So if you guys see me lagging, for the audience out there, if you guys see me lagging, during the stream or after the stream, I don't know, probably not after the stream, but if you catch it during the stream, just let me know. Much appreciated. But yeah, we have the man, the myth, the legend here, Flame Rebirth. Here to talk about some Kubology. I don't know. I've been following you on Twitter for some time, but I know I've watched a few of your videos. I understand how passionate you are, not only about Bleach, but are about like just anime in general, which I appreciate. So I feel like that's something missing in the anime community that needs to, I guess, surface and would be probably beneficial for those that are kind of new to the anime community to really understand just, I guess, the other side of the anime spectrum.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. If I happen to answer not directly after you've spoken, there is a little, like you said, there is a little bit of lag issues. So I might answer. The rhythm of when I answer might be off, but yes, absolutely. I think the anime community needs more people like you. I think you've honestly been doing good work, and that there's a lot of great content creators who are underrated, like under the surface, needing more exposure. And so I don't have a lot of exposure myself anyway, but if I were ever in a position to help, I would absolutely want to. I'm not trying to pretend as if I'm all that. I ain't no teching, but if I can help at all, yeah, absolutely. I'll be here to support everybody that I can. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate those words. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for not only my supporters, but for people like Breezy, who have been my hosts, SciSensei, who's unfortunately not here because of some personal things, but these people would make the Sing Zone podcast. They've helped create the idea of the Sing Zone podcast, which tries to basically create a more of like a open conversation area as opposed to more of like a debate natured domain for all anime enthusiasts out there. And we don't only talk about anime, but we primarily talk about anime because that's how we started off.
I see.
And so yeah, I have a few questions of my own, and I know Breezy does as well.
Yes, sir.
I sense. Why did you sound like SciSensei right there? I thought he popped in.
Oh wow! Okay, that's a unique coincidence.
Yeah, I don't know who said that, but it sounded like Sci. Sounds like Sci.
Yeah, that was me just now. But okay, that's funny.
Confused the heck out of me. I don't know what that was. Okay, but yeah, no. We had a few questions, of course. I think one of the first questions that I should probably ask, and just to start it off, I guess, is what got you into Bleach? Yeah, what got you into Bleach, and what keeps your interest in Bleach?
Wow. Okay, that's a really, really cool question. So for me, it goes back many years. I was in I currently live in the United States, but I originally grew up in Ghana, West Africa, and I had a friend of mine, my best friend. We he is the one who introduced me into anime, and the first anime we actually watched, ironically, was Naruto. We were in about 8th grade. Naruto, man, we were all up in that. Great stuff. And I remember that at one point he uh he introduced me, he gave me, we watched one episode of Bleach, episode 1 of Bleach, and I remember thinking it was the biggest pile of trash I had ever seen. I'm like, man, what is this? It's lame. I don't get it. I don't want this. I want to watch Naruto. And
Mhm.
so you fast forward from 8th grade, fast forward all the way up to about, I don't know, 10th grade or so. I think I was probably too young. Like, Bleach is a show, even for shonen audiences, it's kind of mature. Because as an 8th grader, I wasn't really seeing the appeal of Bleach. I would have much rather watch Naruto or something else. But after I matured a
Yeah.
little bit, I was like, hold on, this Ichigo guy is kind of cool right here. I kind of like what's going on over here. And then I think by the time I started Bleach, the anime was at the Eisen place, um and the manga was in the Fullbring arc at the time, and I just binged it all. After moving to the United States, I had and this is as far as my reasoning for continuing to push on into it, is that we know the infamous Fall of Bleach video by Super Eye Patch Wolf. That's like for a lot of Bleach content creators, that's like one of our darkest days for many reasons. And part of the thing that happened there was you saw the power of, again, I don't know what motivation Super Eye Patch Wolf had, whatever. It's a long time ago, but you saw the power of misinformation, because
Mhm.
that damaged Bleach's reputation so bad.
Yeah.
And it it usually brings up the question of, well, how do you combat misinformation? Do you tell the person to stop? No, the way you combat misinformation is with information. That's the only way you can combat it. But who's going to care what you have to say if you don't have a voice? Who's going to care what you have to say if you don't have a big enough voice for people to hear? And so for me, it was like, okay, well, if I got something to say and no one is willing to listen, then the only option you have is to go try and make a platform for yourself so that people can hear. And that's what gives me going. But I think the Bleach fandom as a whole, we've reached the point where no one can come in and just talk trash about Bleach and get away with it. You cannot misconstrue what Kubo meant and get away with it. We have people, we have voices, they will stand up to you if you misconstrue it. And so as far as that's what keeps me going, but as far as the reason why I fell in love with Bleach as much as I did, is Kubo is I don't know if I can curse. Kubo is a freaking genius, bro. The guy is just he's a genius upon geniuses.
Yeah.
And you know, the character writing, the fact that you, no matter how many times you read it, when you read it over again, you're just finding things. And Kubo, just as a writer, he's so, I don't know how to, when everybody wants to zig, he zags. Like, everybody wants to do this typical, um
Yeah.
I guess you could call it typical
I like
rivalry
that.
thing. And you see a Grimmjow and Uri, you're like, oh yeah, just do the Naruto Sasuke thing, do the Goku Vegeta thing, do the Natsu Gray thing. Kubo says, no, I'm not going to do that. How I wish Grimmjow would have stayed in the story of Bleach and become Ichigo's eternal rival, but Kubo says no. He's just unique. He does what he wants and he sticks to it. And the few times he doesn't stick to it, he is extremely remorseful, which is Byakuya's death. And I don't think he's ever gotten over that. But anyway, I don't want to rag on too long, but these are some of the reasons. This is a little bit of backstory on why I've come to love Bleach so much. So yeah. How about you? Um, uh, what about you?
No, absolutely. I so interesting enough, I got a I got a Blu-ray, and I don't know how I got it, or where I got it. I don't know if I bought it out of a Best Buy. No, it wasn't a Blu-ray, excuse me. It was just a DVD, and I got it from, was it Blockbuster? Um
I see.
Anyways, I took it home. I put it on like my PS2. And that was my first interaction with Bleach. I it was like when so it was basically I guess a special when Ichigo face off against Renji, and it was I think that was my first, trying to remember back, I think that was my first interaction with Bleach. After that, I like most people, I kind of decided to hop on the Naruto plane for for some years, and ended up coming back to Bleach and kind of just binging. I think I binged like 300 episodes. It was around 300 episodes at the time. And there were still some, it was still ongoing at that point in time, but yeah, that after I think point, I followed like some reviewers. I think there's a lot of people that still I think had enthusiasm for Bleach, but um there, after a while I could see, of course, like you said, there's misinformation where you get like, for Neverworld or something, kind of talking about and I'm name dropping to you. um, talking about Bleach, and I didn't agree necessarily about those takes, and I guess I still stayed true. I would like to say I still stayed true to the Bleach franchise, and there wasn't really much. I think after I got past just trying to, I after hearing those negative opinions about it, I decided to make my own opinion and just kind of like stick through with Bleach. And I'm glad I did, because like you said, there's definitely something different, I think, that Tite Kubo does as opposed to Kishimoto or Oda. And I think that this has kind of created his own domain per se, and we're, I'm probably overusing that word, but I think for those that are familiar with how, I don't know, JJK, we'll probably get into that. I don't want to fly into that. I don't want to fly into that just yet, but no, I think yeah, you could tell there's inspirations even today that as Bleach is inspired them, and maybe not like entirely, maybe partially, but there has been some inspiration, and I think that's definitely something positive that should be recognized. I think that Tite Kubo's message, at least within Bleach, has really kind of made a positive impact in my life, in certain points during high school, certain points during college, things, I think that there's a lot to take from the series, and it's not just what it appears to be at a surface level. There's a little bit more than explosions and stuff, and it has that too. But
I see.
yeah, I'm glad they brought it back. Fortunately, because I probably couldn't have predicted it, although I would have had it in my mind to, it would have always been a thing that I that wish that it would have happened. And if it didn't, it'd be like the Hunter x Hunter anime. We're just kind of waiting. It'll have that special place in my heart where I can never kind of, I can never really fill. But I'm sure people feel this way about other anime as well. But we'll get into how, I guess. I guess my follow-up question to that is, I don't want to start into debates or anything and say like which is the best or whatever. But what I will say is, out of what makes Bleach different.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, that's okay. That's a tough one.
Does Kubology play into this? How does yeah?
So first of all, I will say that whoever reads Bleach has the right to decide how they feel about Bleach, and they're perfectly entitled to their opinion, and that's absolutely fine. For me, the reason why I think Bleach is different is because Kubo as a writer, just there's a certain poetic nature to how he writes. he's very meticulous in the perspective that he takes on his characters. And so it's like, you know, a simple matter of Ichigo's name. It's like, okay, Ichi means number one, Go means guardian. He's the number one guardian, and Ichigo's character is all about being a protector. But at the same time, Ichigo is like a synonymous with strawberry, which is why the first volume of Bleach is the death and the strawberry. And there's a certain duality that Kubo loves to do with everything that he employs. And so, and just from the perspective also from what was popular back then when he broke into the scene with your main character. Every main character back then, not every, most of them, gluttony, super happy, super boisterous, super loud, and screams what they want to do and what they want to be at the top of their voices. Kubo comes in and says, no, Ichigo is going to be kind of melancholy, normal dude, not screaming what he wants to do at the top of his voices. And we're going to have him go through a ton of mental struggle, and not in the way that you might consider with other characters. He won't spell it out for you. It's either you get it or you don't. Those who get it, you're cool, you get me, we move on. Those who don't get it, I will not spoon feed you this information. It's like, to this day, Ichigo's goal being, oh, he wants to protect his friend, is still an indictment on Kubo's writing, when really, I think as time has gone on, it's been updating as we've gone along, that people are beginning to appreciate what Kubo was trying to say there. But it's like, it took such a long time for people to understand that it's not as simple as just merely protecting his friends. He went from, and just stop me when I'm rambling too long, and I'll pull it back. But I think it's part of why Bleach is so great, in that when Ichigo first started and he took Rukia's powers, Rukia says, hey, I can't be a Soyber anymore. You need to do Soyber for me, and you need to do it because you have a responsibility. And what does Ichigo say? Ichigo says, no, I don't want to do it. I only did it because I wanted to save my friend. So it's like, even when he started off at the beginning, he was kind of antithetical to the idea of being a protector, because he's like, hey, I did what I had to do to protect my family, and that's where it ended. But I'm not such a scumbag that can turn my back on people in front of me who need help. And so he decides to help Rukia. You fast forward through this whole Aizen saga and all the things that happened there, where some people, one other indictment people put at Kubo's feet is Ichigo and Aizen didn't really have beef between the two of them, because it's like Aizen was just doing his thing. Ichigo was just there as a I don't know, like a sideshow who had to be there. And for me, when I read that story, it's like, well, that's the point. Ichigo, as a 15-year-old, being thrown into a century-long battle between Aizen and Soul Reapers and everything that's going on with Kisuke Urahara, Death Gods, everything of the sort. And now, because Aizen didn't show him his Kyoku Suigetsu, the only chance the good guys have to win is if Ichigo is the one to do it. And the only way Ichigo can defeat Aizen is if he gives up his powers. This is a 15-year-old. What is he doing here? Bro, go do your homework. But here he is, thrust into literal godlike battles, having to fight for his life, and he ends up making the sacrificial decision to give up his powers to save the world. And somehow people's takeaway from that entire thing is, oh, like Ichigo and Aizen's beef or their or the relationship between them, it was this. No, that was exactly Kubo's point. To have this young man have to make the ultimate sacrifice, and then don't even get me started on the Fullbring arc and how that has been misrepresented. Like Kubo likes to take things to places that other people don't want to take it to, and that's fine. What anime? I don't know if you guys could, but what anime do you guys know where when the main character gets the most powerful power up in their entire run, like the point at which they achieve the ultimate power, and they do so without lifting a finger or throwing a punch? Rarely does that happen. The closest you can get to here is kind of like with Naruto, where, in order for Naruto and Kurama's relationship to foster, he had to accept Kurama, and Kurama had to accept him, and then they were able to synergize, and and so on and so forth. With Kubo, he didn't have to throw a freaking punch to get the strongest power up in the entire series, because when it comes to Zanpakuto relationships, Kubo is like, hey, it's not about training in the hyperbolic time chamber like Goku. It's not about doing Sage mode with the head Toad in the Toad world or whatever. It's not like Luffy training with Rayleigh for 2.5 years. He had one conversation with Ome Zangetsu where they just had a heart-to-heart back and forth where he learned everything he needed to know. And like Kubo was just trying to say, hey, that's the impact conversation can have on releasing the psychological restraints that you have on yourself. And now here he is, Ichigo, one of the most powerful beings to have ever existed in Bleach. It's just Kubo likes to do things that other people don't want to do. And he doesn't care if it doesn't work out. And to me, that's what sets Bleach apart from other anime. Because some of the things you get in Bleach, you're not like, Oda is great, Kishimoto is fucking great. Togashi is legendary. All these dudes are awesome. You won't get that. You won't get what Kubo gives you with them because they're different writers, and that's the beauty of it. Like what Kubo does, nobody else is doing, and I love it that way. I absolutely love it.
No, you're 100% right. Yeah. Any thoughts, Breezy, on that?
Yeah, that was very nicely put. I didn't think of it initially, when you were the whole thing that you were saying about not having to lift a finger, because a common trope with a lot of other animes, you get power through hard work kind of thing. I never interpreted that what you said about Ichigo having an internal, his conversation with old man Zangetsu just to get that level of power so fast that he got to. I didn't think of it that way, like you were saying about, that's just how impactful just having a conversation with somebody can have on a person, just that, that release itself. I never thought of it that way. That's a good spin to put on it. I think
Yeah,
I've seen
I
like
think
some of your go ahead. There's a I think it might have lagged a bit. Go ahead.
there's a bit of a lag. Yeah, I apologize on cutting you off. And hopefully you can come back to that later. I just wanted to say that, yeah, I think that there's something that is pretty brilliant on Kubo's part that he implements. He of course is able to help the development of our main protagonist here, Ichigo Kurosaki, through himself, through like, because the blade is him, and it's sort of instructing him through, throughout his development, or throughout his life, I guess, in certain instances, whenever he interacts with certain people, and it's all very structured in a very sophisticated way. I feel like that's something that Kubo does fantastically. He, if that's a word,
We'll make it a word today.
That he does very well, is what I'm trying to say. We'll make it a word. He's able, he doesn't really insult your intelligence. He makes it a way. He makes a way for you to understand through the development of these characters. And he puts them in certain situations to where only they can kind of maybe possibly come out of, and it's not just the power of friendship or some huge ass pool, and I think you spoke about fate a bit. You speak about it from time to time, but I think for fate, when people say fate, that's something that I typically do not like, because it's in a matter of how it's used. Let's say Naruto and Boruto, right? Which I consider one franchise in the same universe, but Boruto tends to disregard that fact. When it pertains to fate, how do you define it within Bleach, and how is that manufactured within Bleach?
Well, so Kubo loves fate, and just the infamous line that he created: "If fate is a millstone, we are the Christ. there is nothing we can do. And so, if I cannot stop the wheel, then give me a blade and enough strength to shatter fate. And it's like, holy, like, what? That is so profound on Kubo's part right there. And
Yeah, that's powerful.
and so for Kubo, and at least how I interpret it, like who knows how Kubo himself means these things when he says it. But for me, when Kubo talks about fate in Bleach, and I think, hopefully, because I made a huge video about it. It's a theory. I have no idea whether it's going to be true or not. Kubo is the only person who knows, but it's very similar to Magi, which I don't know if anybody's here in the chat. I am condoning reading Magi. Brother, sisters, you will not be disappointed. One of the best pieces of fiction I've personally ever read. I don't know if any of you guys, I don't know if you rate Magi or not, but my goodness, that's like one of the greatest stuff ever.
It's been a while. I'm not gonna lie. But I do have a few theories. I'm glad you brought up the topic of theories, because I do have a few of my own. And I'm hoping you could either give me clarification, and possibilities, if you agree, disagree, whatever. I'm hoping you might be able to comment on it. So I'm wondering, when it pertains to, let's say, like the shikai and like the Squad Zero, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a theory that there may be some lieutenants or particular lieutenants or captains that are possibly the physical manifestation of Squad Zero's shikais. How do you feel about that? What do you think on?
My first instinct is to say, tell me more. Like that alone is not enough for me to necessarily say yes or no, but I'm like, okay, can you expand on it? It sounds intriguing to start with.
You're right. So I don't know, there's and maybe I'll come back to this, because I feel like this might be something that I should leave once I've okay. So without full suspicion, I want to kind of dive into the Soul King first, and the Hogyoku, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. What do you think is the direct connection between the Hogyoku and the time before the Soul King?
Ooh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
I know there hasn't really been. I know there really hasn't been too much information as when it pertains to like the time before the Soul King. But what do you?
So there isn't a lot of information on the time before the Soul King, and in my opinion, Kubo doesn't really talk to. Well, I don't believe that Kubo has made a huge connection between the Hogyoku and the time before the Soul King either. So it's going to be difficult in that regard. But the one connection that I can at least make here isn't necessarily, I don't know, directly with the Hogyoku itself. Like, before the Soul King the Hogyoku existed. I don't know that, like, I can't make that claim without Kubo saying it, but more so the purpose of the Hogyoku and what it embodies and what it can signify could be relevant, in that Aizen says it has the power to materialize the desires of those around it, or the one who is wielding it, and also the way that Aizen utilizes it as a way to break down the boundaries between Hollow and Soul Reaper. Within that context, it's like, we do know that before the Soul King and before the world we know it as it was, there were no boundaries at all, and so they had to create boundaries using the Soul King. And so honestly, the most that I can make here is, the most connection I can make here is that what the Hogyoku exists as for Aizen is a concept that says, I can use you to break down boundaries in order to create a new thing. In the same way that in the past, the 4 or 5 noble houses used the Soul King as a conduit to put up boundaries in order to separate the different worlds. Anything beyond that, I would struggle to find unless Kubo gives us something. That's I just squeeze whatever Kubology I could get out of that right there. I don't know if I have any more.
Yeah, because I guess there has been a bit of a question as to like what is the correlation between like the Soul King and how am I forgetting his name? Bach. You're Bach. Sorry. Yeah. What will be like the direct connection is a question that is I think a lot of people ask me, and I just don't know how to tell them. How would you explain that to them? And the power of the Almighty kind of transferring.
So to clarify, you want the relationship between Yuha and the Soul King and what the Almighty power is? Just to clarify what the question is.
Yeah. I apologize for spreading the question out like that, but essentially, what I'm saying is, so we know that of course the Soul King and Yuha have the power of the Almighty, but how is that passed down to Yuha?
Oh, these are Kubo questions right here. I would very much like to know that, honestly. How, like, what is the significance of the transference of power? I have no idea. I had a theory. We'll see if the theories are valid or not. But so I think what I can do here is I can let you know, I can tell you what we absolutely know, and then we can then maybe theorize what could possibly be. So what we know for sure is that when the Soul King appeared out of nowhere, which I don't know whether that's good or bad on Kubo's part, but like one day he wasn't, one day he was, and when he was, he had the Almighty. How? We have no idea. That's on Kubo to explain. Of course, my theory, at least in the video that I made, my theory here was that the what's it called? The world that existed before was given rise to certain beings who were being formed as a flow of, because it was like a pendulum, which is it's a relevant term to use in Bleach because of the turn back the pendulum arc. Kubo likes that idea, and so my theory, at the very least, because what I know for sure is that he showed up out of nowhere and he already had the Almighty. And so when I then get into the possible theories behind that, I say that perhaps because of the chaos, the spiritual chaos that was ensuing during that time, where humans and Soul Reaper beings, whatever, formed, but then out of nowhere, hollows are formed. How? We have no idea. They just showed up. And then now they're eating all the humans. And then in response to that, the Soul King showed up. How? We don't know. But he just showed up in response to the hollows who showed up. It's almost like a call and response. One thing happens, another response. Yeah. And then when that one thing happens, another response. Like a call back and forth, pendulum swinging from one extreme to the other. And so to me, it's like my theory. I will preface it by saying this is so out there, so out there. I own up to this idea.
Let it fly.
I'm ready. But my theory here is that the Soul King is because Bleach has multiple races, we can call it that: Soul Reaper, Hollow, Quincy, and human / Fullbringer. And it's kind of like, ooh, here's this power of the Almighty. It's great, it's scary, whatever. The first person to inherit it was the Soul King, who was affiliated with the Shinigami. All right, cool. And he came there as a response to the Hollows who were running amok. All right, cool. And then the noble houses deviated from the plan, and they took control of the Soul King, created their own artificial system, which is the world we know now, which some people, I guess it's something people tend to not realize, that the world of Bleach that we know now is artificial. It's not natural. 4 dudes back then decided to create it, and they established an artificial system of the balance of souls. That was not like natural. 4 people came together to do that.
Right.
And which is why they have to implement all these strict rules, because it's not natural. If they leave it, if the Soul Reapers don't kill hollows and you just let things be, the world will end. If the Soul Reapers leave the Quincy's to kill the hollows and they don't regulate it, it will end. It's in order for the system to work, the Shinigami had to set up something because it's not natural. And so the world is always trying to get back to its natural state. And the Shinigamis are the ones fighting against it, which is why sometimes when you read Bleach, it's like you realize the Soul Society are kind of like the bad guys, like what they do to the Rukon district members, Central 46, and how brutal they can be. Like kind of the bad guys, which is it's kind of good on Kubo's part, kind of shady there, but like they're often portrayed to be bad guys, and the guys who are the villains of Bleach are all trying to, like, Aizen is like, hey, you guys are terrible people. I'm not going to allow myself to be ruled by you, and so I will stand at the top. You have Yuha who says, hey, I know what you guys did to the Soul King, who is my father, and I'm going to do what I can to revert the world to how it was before. So it's like, wait, who's the bad guy here again? I don't know. That's the genius of Kubo. But my theory is essentially that in response to the hollows taking over, the Soul Reaper individual got the almighty power, which is the Soul King. So okay, cool. And then the Soul Reapers came in, and now they're the ones who in dominance. They're the ones doing all the stuff. What happens then? Then it's the Quincy person who then gets the almighty. Why? So that he can combat the Soul Reaper. So we've gone from Soul Reaper to Quincy. And so in my mind, I think of it as if it's like an avatar state thing where there's no scientific reason why the avatars like go through the different like earth, water, fire, air. There's no real scientific thing. It's just like it selects someone randomly. So I'm like, okay, the first guy was the Soul Reaper. The second guy was a Quincy. In my mind, I'm like, all right, we got two options. The next guy is gonna have to be a hollow or a human, which is why whenever Ichigo, I'm not saying that Ichigo has it, but whenever Ichigo has anything to do with almighty related stuff, like in the anime where he had the eyes, I'm like, oh, Kubo, what are you doing there? Because I'm like, if you follow the pattern, the next race the next race whose turn it is to get the almighty should either be hollow or human, of which Ichigo is technically both anyway. And so there isn't an explained setup for how the almighty is passed on. My theory is that in response to a great unnatural event like the hollows killing all the humans all the way back then, or the Soul Reaper having their empire and going against the natural law, the almighty is given and bestowed randomly to people of a certain race in the sequences of events. First Soul Reaper, then Quincy. So if it's ever going to happen again, I'm looking at you, Kazui. If it's ever going to happen again, we know where it's supposed to go. It either has to go to a human or it has to go to a hollow. I have no idea if this is true or not. Only Kubo knows. So please, this is a theory of theories.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting way to put it. So if it is I don't really see it being a human, but if it is it would seem more likely for it to be a hollow next, wouldn't it?
It would. I don't know if Kubo wants to. Well, I don't know if Kubo wants to go there, but yes, it might be hollow next. It's just I think for the allure of Bleach, I think because when I say human, it essentially just means like a Fullbringer, not necessarily a literal human being. Because like Ichigo is in the category of humans, but he's also a Soul Reaper. You know, Kazui is still a human, but he's a Soul Reaper as well. So like, you know, those you can still get away with giving it to like a really cool dude. It doesn't have to be a regular human. Because if it's a regular human, I do understand. It becomes kind of weird. Because what's he supposed to do? He's just a human. So yeah, I understand.
Okay. Is there any way you could explain the difference between and I will probably take some questions for the chat too. I don't know if you guys would like to do that, but I figure it might be a good opportunity to do that. Can you explain the difference between Hell and Hueco Mundo?
The difference between Hell and Hueco Mundo. Of course, yes, absolutely. So, I know at the beginning of Bleach, it's set up like, oh, Hueco Mundo is like where the hollows are, and hollows are set up to be like demonic creatures, and so wherever the demonic creatures stay, then that should be hell, which perfectly perfectly understandable assumption. Unfortunately, it's wrong, but it's perfectly understandable. Hueco Mundo should not necessarily even considered like necessarily bad. It's just the home for the hollows. That's where the hollows live. It's the Can't Fear Your Own World novel has its own theory on sort of the origin of Hueco Mundo, in that when the Soul King, it's like a super Bleach history lesson, when the Soul King appeared out of nowhere, he appeared because the first Menos Grande came to being. So so the Menos class hollow came into being, and when the Soul King killed it, he killed it and it like shattered into sand. And he's like, "Oh, Hueco Mundo, all sand." It's like, "Oh wow, okay." Is this the origin of all the sands in Hueco Mundo? But I think Hueco Mundo is the space that was created for the hollows to be. That's where Hueco Mundo is. So it's neither necessarily bad nor good. It's just where the hollows live. There's no sunlight. There's just a crescent moon all the time. It's just a bunch of sand and small hollows living there, and that's where the hollows they feast on each other. They undergo their transformation, trying to ascend to a Vastalorde status. It's huge. Eisen didn't even explore all of it. There are still Vastalorde that we still never met, and these Vastalorde are extremely powerful. So that's that. Hell is, again, using Can't Fear Your Own World ideologies here, which is really, really, really intriguing stuff when you go into Bleach lore, which, if I can get if I could sneak a little thing in here, some of these other shows have they have a lifeline. And after you reach a certain point, it generally feels like you've done everything. I don't know how you feel about a Boruto, for example. That's at the end of Naruto, I genuinely felt that Kishimoto he had done right by the world of Naruto. I felt that we had learned all we needed to learn. If that was where it ended, we would have been happy. It was a good stopping point. He did good. It was great. The Boruto stuff is a little bit extra, but Bleach is completely opposite, where if even at the end of Thousand Year Blood War, there's still so much Kubo could have done and can still do, which is still left to be found. And so in the history of Bleach, back when the worlds were all mixed together and they were all one and everything, the noble houses were preparing to divide everything. There was one place, one thing that they could not control. They did not understand it at all. And the only thing it's referred to is just simply called the pit. And it was just a pit, and they couldn't do anything about it. Even with them wielding the power of the Almighty and creating literal worlds that became what we know today, they did not have enough power to exert control over that pit. The only thing they could do was create some sort of barrier door thing to cover it and just stick it into place. That's the only thing that they could do. And so what hell is, it's a place where sinners go. Sinners who have done unspeakable damage and unspeakable sins, unforgivable sins. That's where they go, which honestly, that's the only thing Kubo gave us at the beginning of Bleach. The Hell arc, the Hell movie should be taken with a grain of salt because it's not necessarily fully canon. There's stuff in there that Kubo did not approve. But what we've learned now after the Hell arc is that when captains die, we are not able to recycle their energy, and so we have to put them somewhere. And so every Soul Reaper has been sending captain class soldiers to hell for all eternity, which is mind blowing. But that's the best explanation. I don't want to talk too much, but that's what I think. Let me know tell me what you think.
No, I think that was very well said. I will say that. When it pertains to hell, I don't know. I don't exactly know what to expect from the Hell arc. I can't say that. I'm very interested to find out whether it'll be more than just what was put out, or meaning basically if it'll be every sinner that will pose a threat to, of course, the Ghost 13. I don't know exactly what to expect. I'm very interested to find out what the Hell arc will suggest. It does appear that there's some type of lore that the Gote 13 Squad Zero, none of these guys are good guys. The Soul Reapers aren't the good guys, and I like that you kind of have mentioned that from time to time, because I don't think that I feel like you said, it's a very good, very well done on Kubo's part, that he's kind of found a way to not only make us want to fight for these characters, want these characters to win, but he's kind of, make them feel like bad guys, and their intent, just with Ichibe, his entire demeanor, the things that he's done, it doesn't seem very diplomatic, and I don't know, I honestly can't even put my finger on it, but it all seems to come to a point, to come back to a point, meaning like the time of the soul. I don't know if we'll go back to that point in the anime or just in general, but with the creation of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Burn the Witch is in the exact same, which I know it's like in the future, but Burn the Witch is in the same universe as Bleach, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Soul Society, it's Soul Society East Branch, which is where we are. Soul Society West Branch is where Burn the Witch is. Yeah, absolutely. I still don't know how Kubo is gonna overlap it, but yeah.
I mean, it will he overlap it? That's another question. Did he say? I wouldn't know if he said that he would do it.
He's never said that he would do it. It's just in terms of like how to make sense. And so like on our side, on the Bleach side, if there is a worldwide event that's going to kill everyone, it's like, are those in Burn the Witch feeling that as well? Like with the Aizen stuff and the Yuha stuff, like he would have to clarify what that is. Are they in different dimensions or something? Because Yuha was going to destroy everything. That should have included those in Burn the Witch as well. So the clarifications like that is what I tend to mean.
Okay. Yeah. Forgive me if I'm talking throughout. You got both of your conversations, but I am experiencing just a little bit of lag. I'm not exactly too sure how to put my finger on it just yet, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I was going to butt in for a bit, but I just couldn't tell if it was just delay on your end or if you were going to say something. But one of the things though that I was going to ask you, Rebirth, but you kind of, I guess it would be more of a question for Kubo though, because I was going to say, how do you think that Kubo's interpretation from hell would differ from the hell that we've seen in the Bleach special? But I think that would be more of a question for him. But one of the things that you guys were talking about earlier that I found really interesting was when you were going back to bringing up the Hogyoku. And one of the things that you said was that you were saying that the Hogyoku could be relevant because they exist, or they could be relevant to exist to kind of break down boundaries and materialize desires. And that immediately reminds me of like some of the concepts going back to like a show like Full Metal Alchemist, where they use things to break down boundaries to make exchange that you can otherwise make by using things like the Philosopher's Stone to materialize something that you couldn't make otherwise without making, an equal exchange. And I watched your video about truth being the original sin in Bleach, and I found it very interesting because there's a character named Truth in that show as well. And so I was thinking about what some of the things that you were saying about faith, or not faith, fate. And I was thinking about the Hell arc, and I was thinking about the year blood 1,000 year blood war arc. That's a long name to say. But I was thinking about that arc, and one thing that I noticed, it's a mouthful, yeah. One thing that I noticed that's like a recurring thing in shows and like in media is that if you're trying to do something as big as changing fate, something that huge, usually it requires sacrifice. And we've seen like in the war arc a sacrifice Ichigo made was sacrificing his powers or his Soul Reaper powers to to defeat Yuha and to live like a normal life. So do you think
Aizen, right?
Aizen, sorry. So do you think like going into the Hell arc, like we're going to see more of like a recurring thing where in order to prevail in that arc, a major sacrifice would have to be made for Ichigo?
I see. That's a very intriguing concept. I think Kubo has been an advocate of kind of like with for not with great sacri not the Spider-Man thing, but rather like in order for you to gain something, you have to give something of equal return. Is the what's the term for in Full Metal Alchemist? The law of equivalence exchange, right? That's what it's
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
Right. So like against Aizen, for Ichigo to get the final Getsuga Tensho and defeat Aizen, what he had to give up was all of his Soyuba powers. Like that's one of the reasons why I'm not as mad at Kubo, because people are like, oh, it came out of nowhere and everything. I'm like, Ichigo had a cost. Like it's a problem when it's like Fairy Tail and Natsu is facing off against Aknologi or whatever, and Mashima creates something, the flames of unbridled emotion. And I'm like, what do you mean? That stuff is no thank you. But
Right.
in Ichigo's case, it cost him all of his Soul Reaper powers. And then we have to go into a whole arc for him to get it back. That's fine, I can deal with that. With like Naruto versus Sasuke, they fought each other. They both lost an arm. That like they actually lost something because they couldn't understand each other. There's a price to pay for your mistakes or for whatever it is. There's a price to pay. And so going into the Hell arc, I'm like, bro, it's gonna be a huge sack. Someone is gonna have to pay up. Someone's gonna have to, because for 1,000 Year Blood War, in order for us to find a way to defeat Yuha, like Yamamoto died. Like I think Unohana, it's the craziest thing to me. Just to sort of hit home the fact that Kubo is an advocate of sacrifice, in that Unohana knew that Kenpachi had strength to surpass her. The price that she had to pay for Kenpachi to just be himself was her life. Like if
Right.
that doesn't tell you how overly OP Kenpachi is, where it's like the price to pay for you to be you is for Unohana to die. That's so yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah.
That's
That's major.
insane. Kubo has always been an advocate of sacrifice. So once we get into the Hell arc, I'm very scared for what might happen. Like I'll be honest, I don't like. I feel like there's a death flag on Shinsui Kyotoku. Like I feel it. I feel that there's. I feel a death flag on Byakuya again. We'll see what happens. I feel a death flag on Byakuya. And so, as far as Ichigo's concerned, Kazui's one shady kid. I don't think Kubo will ever have Ichigo die or anything like that, but someone's gonna have to pay the price, because Kazui's one freaky ass kid. Like the dude is not okay. He is not okay.
He's broken.
He's broken. He's broken, and I'm scared of that kid. I don't know if you guys ever saw that photo Kubo drew. It's like what was it? It's like a picture of Kazui in a white hoodie, and he's looking down on you, and I'm like, bro, this dude is mad. Like he's demonic, but he's
Demonic vibes.
but he has golden hair and he's wearing a white hoodie, but he looks demonic. I'm like, how are we doing this? It's insane. Like Kubo's something else, bro.
Yeah, I that's still like something that I haven't fully accepted yet. That he exists, but I think it's kind of growing with time. It's taken me years.
I mean, like so. Sorry,
I think it's going to take me a little bit more time. I don't think it'll fully sink in until he's anime. I think.
Sorry, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Like Kazui, like if you think about Ichigo being as broken as he is, because his mother is a Quincy, his dad is a Soyuper, and his mother was bitten by a hollow, so he has hollow powers as well. And his mother being bitten by a hollow made him a full ringer as well, because like you think about how crazy that is. It's like, okay, cool. So you take that, Kazui gets all of that, and then you add Orihime, who has the power to reject God, and it's like, what have you created? This kid could be one of the most broken characters in all of anime. It is scary.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think the Boruto Naruto verse. I don't even think the One Piece verse really has this in the bag. I think it's kind of. I've always said, and this will be a hot take of mine. I'm fully going to accept the L. If it is one, I don't think it is. I'm going to say that I think Bleach is just the strongest universe. I think it is.
Out of the major
I think it's
population.
designed that way, and I think if you stack up, you know, I think that's a fairly easy thing to say, maybe controversial, but I think that the argument can be placed that I think it's out there. I think to kind of like backtrack a little bit, I do want to kind of go back to a point. Like how I was kind of suggesting that there may have been a reason why maybe there, or it could be possible that maybe some of the more powerful captains or squad zero may have like shikai that have physically manifested. I think that there are some instances where this has been seen before, but when it pertains to like Shinjumaru, right? And I'm sure it's probably been predicted before, but I just want to kind of put it out there again. With Kisuke, his abilities and Shinjumaru's, I think they're very similar, at least in nature. Could it be possible that Shinjumaru's true Shikai is actually Kisuke? Could that be something that's very possible? Because he's a very ominous, and I'm not sure if it's ominous or if it's just because he's a Shikai. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it would certainly be mind blowing. I'll tell you that much. I think the only example we have of a person's Zanpakuto taking on a physical form is Kenpachi with Yachiru, where I don't even know necessarily the signs of it per se, but like Yachiru is a Zanpakuto made manifest. Like you got to be really powerful to be able to do that. And so on one level, it's definitely possible. We have seen it happen before, and Squad Zero definitely passes the test of being strong enough to be able to pull that off. The only reason why I'd be hesitant is here is like specifically with the Kisuke point. Do we want, because if we do that, we're sort of like diminishing Kisuke's value in the story if he just happens to be somebody else's Shikai. And I don't think Kubo, even if Kubo wanted to go that route, I don't know that Kisuke would be the guy he would want to do it for, because like Kisuke is super important to Bleach. If he becomes, oh, he's the Shikai of this other powerful person, it diminishes the value that he holds. And so even if it's possible, I don't know that Kisuke would be the person. It might be somebody else. And also I think if that were the case, I feel like we would have known, because we've already seen her Shikai and her Bankai. So certainly the concept, it's a real concept in Bleach. I just don't know if it would be what would happen in this particular case, because we know her Shikai and we know her Bankai, because Kubo's told us that. So it's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it like that. I didn't realize it sort of it could possibly diminish his character. I feel like Kubo might be that good of a writer where he could possibly work it in there and it still would possibly work. I don't know. That's just one of the more fun theories that I had. That I just along the patterns I feel like we've seen other Kenpachis which have had similar, or at least one other Kenpachi that had a similar instance. I want to say his Sheik was his Bankai or Shikai. It might have been his Bankai. I could be thinking something. Yeah, because he was permanently in Bankai. That's what it was. So just disregard that.
Yeah. I think I know the person you're thinking about.
Yeah, but can you remember?
I do not remember. I can see his face in front of me. I just don't know his name, but I know the person you're talking about.
I totally forget. If you guys remember in chat, let us know, because I forgot. I appreciate that, Si. I appreciate that. I approve my hot takes as well.
I mean, this one, your hot take just now was, I think that's accurate. Bleach is a broken universe.
what do you foresee? Do you think like King is like dead? And it just took the power of equal magnitude to kill him, or do you think he's just kind of? You think he could possibly return, or yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. As a Shiro, something like that.
He's got it. I don't exactly as a Shiro. That's what it was. Kenpachi. I think he's Kenpachi, right? He's Kenpachi.
Yeah, Soya as a Shiro. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like, just to kind of, I guess, backtrack a bit. What do you foresee for like the future of Bleach, and like its development?
Ooh, wow. I think it's we don't absolutely know everything for sure. But one thing that we can definitely conclude is after it's kind of weird saying this to somebody who you said you were a Naruto fan, of course, which is fair. I think Bleach for so long was like the black sheep of the big three. One Piece dominating Japan, Naruto dominating the West, Bleach, like the sort of the third sibling who, mom likes Naruto, dad likes One Piece, and then Bleach is just, the uncle has to come over for him to get some attention. That's what it was like, and I feel like we finally hit the point where I think it's now Bleach's turn, especially after the anime came back, because Pyrrha was in such a bad place before the anime came back, and just because of Bleach and Bleach alone, Pyrrha is like they're back in the public limelight because Bleach has been such a well-received adaptation. It's not perfect, but damn, are they doing some good work on Bleach nowadays? And I think with Shueisha giving Kubo the art exhibition. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but it was only supposed to go for a year, but it was so popular. They were like, oh, you know what? Here's another year. The same thing with Club Outside. It was only supposed to go for like 1 year or whatever, but so many people were signing up for it. So many people were invested in it. And it cost a lot of money to get into that fan club. Like, you got to pay money to ask Kubo questions and see him tweet about his dog. And people were paying that money because they want to see Kubo, and now they've extended it to outside Japan and everything. And so to me, I'm just like, for the future of Bleach, I feel that we're not done. 1,000 Year Blood War is not going to be the end. The Hell arc special chapters sold incredibly well. The anime is doing very well. Burn the Witch is doing very well. It's like Shueisha sees money in Kubo, and so I don't think they're going to stop. I think they're going to keep going. They want more Hell. I think that much is true. I'm sure you guys heard about the recent announcement that they gave with recently. It was like the Bleach 20th anniversary project. Like, they added like a new art exhibition, anime exhibition that's going to be happening, like a completely new one, which is like, I think they called it Locus of the Brave. I don't know if you saw that.
I did catch that.
Yeah, they're going to be rerunning the entire Bleach canon episodes on TV. It's taken over Studio Pierrot from March 25th. I think it should be happening now, actually. From March 25th all the way till like from episode 1, running all time, all day long on TV Tokyo, straight until it reaches the end of where the anime currently left off. And so I'm like, I think Kubo's going to give us more manga for Bleach. Is going to give us more manga for Burn the Witch, and the anime is going to keep doing stuff. Question for you though: if Shueisha came to you and says, "Hey, we have this idea. We're thinking maybe to reboot Bleach and remake the original anime," do you say yes or do you say no?
Reboot it, like remake it?
Yeah, like what Wit Studio is doing for One Piece. I think
I would have to say yes, but it has to be by Studio Ghibli.
What?
That's the only way I accept any remake. Give it Studio Ghibli.
Why?
I just love their art. I love the way they animate their art. Other than that, like nothing. No, absolutely not. It's no deal. Like, either like you take my deal or you accept it. Like that's my deal. It's on the table.
Seeing Bleach in Studio Ghibli style would be kind of crazy.
I I honestly, I don't think I wouldn't like it. And so most things I can say I wouldn't like that. Oh, I like that. I don't like that, but I'll still entertain it, right? So with Studio Ghibli, that's something I can say like I would probably like that, or I don't think I wouldn't like it, you know, type of. I think I could rock with it, you know.
I see.
So
Breezy, I would like to know. So, would you say yes or no to a Bleach reboot, and if so, by who?
Ooh, I would say, yeah, I would say yes. By who? That's tough. Maybe, maybe.
Ufotable.
What was that?
Ufotable.
Ufotable? No, no, no. Maybe, Mappa or
Oh,
even
you want to
though
give Bleach to Mappa? Oh, dang, that's they're in for it now.
yeah, I was just about to say that. I love like the way that they animate, but at the same time they do their workers to death though. That's just an extra thing put on them.
With
But
those Bleach
maybe
designs, they get
Mappa,
to cry.
if I'm being honest, or I don't mind if Studio Piro I mean just go back and redo it themselves, to be honest. Um I have seen with Zone Scene like some really cool I don't know if it was done by AI or fans or what, but some really cool renderings of Bleach actually in the Studio Ghibli art style, and it actually meshes really well. So if that was actually done, like,
Mm.
oh man, I
That's
would freak
probably
out over that. I would love that, to be honest, but that's just me.
I'm trying to see if I can find it. Oh, okay, here it is. Okay, I'm torn. I see what I don't know if that's for sure what you saw, but it's on Twitter. I can see it. Ooh,
let me see.
I'm
I don't.
torn. I'm torn. I am torn.
I would totally share it if I could see it, but oh my, I don't know why X does this to me. It just I can never save dark mode on it. It's always on light mode. Anyways,
I'm torn. I'm torn. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm torn.
Yeah, I see. That's how I felt about it. You know, like I saw it, I was like, you know what, that looks kind of good. And I feel like when I first saw Studio Ghibli art, I wanted it to be in another art style, and so when I actually start to like see more Studio Ghibli art, I was like, you know what, this is probably one of my favorite art styles. I really like this. And so I think ever since you know then I've kind of been on that train.
It's I don't want to dabble on this topic for too long. It's Studio Ghibli's Bleach looks too soft, if that makes sense. I'm looking at the picture right now, like it looks so warm and nice and calm, and it's like Kubo's Bleach is heavy metal rock and roll, you know? Like imagine them doing Ulquiorra. You would
Yeah,
see him and you would want to hug him. I wouldn't want I don't know that they could make Ulquiorra look evil. I just want to go and hug the dude the way they so yeah, I don't know, man. I'm torn. I'm definitely torn.
I get exactly what you mean. Yeah, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the writing style. I mean, at least that's how I would feel about it as well. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll see. We'll see if they
I
do
get it.
decide to do so. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wish. What are some of your? I do want to ask because I probably this is probably something I should have initially asked. Yeah. What are your top? What is your top 5 anime? This is going to be a difficult question, I know.
Oh,
But
it's actually not difficult at all. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off. My number one anime of all time is Gintama. I will fight any. It's strange coming
Oh,
from a Bleach.
Gintama is so good.
It's weird coming from a Bleach guy, considering I don't make Gintama videos. Gintama is the best anime of all time. Bite me. Number two would be Bleach. Number 3 would be Dragon Ball, OG Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z. No offense to the Go, RIP to the Go, but OG Dragon Ball is just it's so beautiful and homey and nice. It's great. Number 4 for me is dang, it's been minutes since I did this. You know what? Let me not put an order on it. But Gintama is definitely number 1, and Bleach is definitely number 2. The remaining 3 we can split between One Piece, Dragon Ball, and I think I'm gonna go Kuroko no Basuke. I fucks heavy with my boy Kuroko. That's my dude right there.
I didn't expect that. Okay, so you said number 1 was Gintama.
Number 1 is Gintama. Kubo, like the author, Kubo. I mean, we know who Kubo is. Kubo and the author of Gintama, named Sorachi, are actually they're actually pretty tight, and they're pretty close. TV Tokyo holds the right to Gintama and Bleach, and so sometimes they have these weird. It's not really a crossover, but it's like an ad for both their shows, and you know the voice actor for Ichigo was talking to Ginteki, and it's one of the coolest things ever because if you've seen Gintama, sometimes he goes Mugetsu, and it's like in its canon, it's not even fake. He just goes Mugetsu sometimes, and you know it's just Gintama is just one of the greatest anime out there. Like it's not for everyone, but if you can put up with it for a little bit, it becomes worth it.
Agreed.
I couldn't put anything on that. You know, I is that for all time or is that just like currently? They're like, does your top 5 change like my top 5 to like my top 5 is going to be different in about like a next year, or the next time you ask me it? As
for me, it doesn't change. It doesn't tend to change. Like the top 2 are not going to change for sure. I think One Piece. I would have loved to put like one. These are, I guess, the what's the phrase? Not general mentions. The honorable mentions. I would have loved to put One Piece in there, but like there was a time when the One Piece anime was pretty rough. It was not always hitting like it is now. I'm so jealous. I would love to put Rurouni Kenshin in there. Honestly, I don't know if any of you rate Rurouni Kenshin, the OG, the old 90s Rurouni Kenshin. Great stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to put
Samurai X.
yes, or Samurai X. Yeah, I think Samurai X is a better known phrase. And yeah. No, I think mine's pretty stable. I would say none of the what I will say is none of these new shows are beating the OGs. That's one thing I would say. I'm not. I don't know about you guys. I'm not moved by this new stuff. I'm like, where's the? I don't know. It's lacking some. It's lacking soul. I don't know if you feel me. It's lacking something.
It is. I couldn't agree with you more. It's definitely lacking some uniqueness. It's lacking. Like, yeah, it's lacking like authenticity a bit. Yeah, I guess that's probably a better word than uniqueness. Even though it's the same word, I feel like there's definitely some. It's always like it feels like a copy paste of just kind of ideas, or just like a plethora of meshed ideas. Kind of. I'll take some of Dragon Ball's inspiration, some of Naruto, One Piece, and I feel like that's kind of. I'm going to address another hot take, and you're going to think I hate One Piece at the end of this, but I definitely feel like that's why the kind of storyboarding of One Piece is trying to continue as long as possible. And it has implemented a lot of ideas to a point, but you know, there are also a lot of chapters which I feel like serve minimal purpose at all, which in those chapters I think could do better at implementing closing arguments or closing chapters at this point in the game. But just to kind of navigate away from that a bit, I definitely feel like there's you could tell like there was thought put into the creation of it, of let's say Bleach, like, because that's what we're here to sort of mostly talk about. I'll list some animes. There's some of my animes that I really have grown an appreciation for, at least for the recent ones have been ones like Mob Psycho,
Ooh, good
which is
one.
another one. Vinland Saga. That's although
Ooh, okay. I see. Yeah,
there's
you're
also
cooking. You're cooking.
there's what else is there? I don't know why I'm thinking of Erase because someone just mentioned that to me the other day, but
Yeah, that was me.
that was you. Okay, that's your fault. I'm bad. um, there's a lot of solid anime out there that I feel like takes the back seat. Attack on Titan. I feel like honestly, I loved it. I thought it did a very very good job and deserves his place at the top. But I think that it gets shut down because of its people. I think they don't think it presents well. It is a shonen, so it may not be the best representation for that audience, but I think the message is what matters. So for me, there's an anime called Platinum End, and it's by the same creator as Death Note. Some may have heard of it, some may have not, but for that anime, there's it's extremely controversial, and you may not like the art, but I encourage you to kind of look into it if for those viewers out there. I think that it's going to basically like toward the end or certain parts of it, people feel like they don't like it, right? It's like I said, it's controversial, and I'm trying not to spoil it because for me, I could see how they don't like it, but I try to look at not just what is in front of me, but what the author is actually trying to say. And that anime is only about 25 to 30 episodes. But in that, I feel like there's one message which isn't entirely clear until you get to the end. But most people drop it. I kid you not, the last 5 minutes or the last episode of the 30 episode season, so
Oh
that's
wow.
sort of how and so that's, I feel like there's not a lot of patience, especially in today's day and age. There's animes, of course, with explosions and, funny slice of life bits and good fights and
Oh
very
wow.
cool powers like One Punch Man. I'm sorry, I just kind of sidetracked, but
Oh no, I just I just looked up because I haven't
yeah, like One Punch
seen.
Man, which is of course.
I apologize. The lagging. This is my fault. I apologize. What I was saying was that I haven't seen Platinum End, so I looked up the synopsis for it. Um, which again, I have no idea what it's good about. I don't know. The series follows Mirai Kakehashi, a student who attempts suicide but is rescued by his guardian angel Nase, who not only has vowed to protect him but bestows him a special power, as he's also one of the 13 candidates chosen by different angels to take the role of God, who is to retire in 999 days. All right, like to me, I'm like, okay, that I like that's new. That's like okay, that's interesting. Or like I can see, I'm interested to know how it becomes controversial. And so you may have just convinced me to give it a watch because I'm like, that's a good synopsis right there.
It's a mouthful. I will say that, and I like again. I'm trying not to spoil it because there are points and times you're gonna be like throughout the season, like what, huh? But it's all. I think if you just like sit back and you say, hey, I'm just going to I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna take everything with a grain of salt, and then at the end I'll decide if I like it or not. I think if you're watching it from that perspective, you may like it.
I see. Interesting.
So that's, yeah, it's very, it's all very it's all very interesting. There's a lot of religious context within it, so that's why I say that's part of the controversy. There's also it goes into depth with a lot of different type of concepts, but
Is it
yeah, I
Evangelion
think that's
charged?
what I'll probably say about that. Say that one more time. Sorry.
Is it like Evangelion charged with all the religious stuff that it wants to go into?
Um, I, I, I don't know if it's that deep, but it's, if you're not if you're not concrete about your beliefs, it may make you question some things. So I will say that.
Oh wow.
But
Okay.
like, if you don't look at it from trying to if you don't, and this is typically for like the younger audience, but if you don't look at it trying to seek some type of validation or confirmation, you're going to, I think, ultimately the end message is pretty sound, or at least when you kind of take a step back, because it's going to force you to take a step back. And
All right, I'm watching it.
you know, that's just one of the animes out there that I feel like doesn't get enough hype. I can't even say I'm the biggest advocate for it. I like to talk about it because I hear a lot of people talk shit about it. That's exactly why I talk about it.
Yeah, you've convinced me. You've convinced me to watch it. I'm watching it.
You know, so yeah, it's JJK. Of course, I feel like has did a fantastic job at delivering. Its anime is I think is really changed. It's really changed, I think, the perspective of a lot of the younger audience. I can't say I'm fully caught up to season 2 yet, but that is something that I'll probably be doing extremely soon. I've been busy with like school and work and such, but and Breezy and Sai hate me for that. I'm sorry, guys. But is there? Do you know for because I don't know if it was officially put out when Bleach will be coming out this year. I'm going to talk to you as if you are within the Bleach in the Bleach team. All right, like you're working side by side with Taite Kubo. So
Oh yeah, I talked to Pro yesterday.
Yeah. So what did he say about when the anime would be coming back? We're very curious.
So he says it's under wraps. Honestly, he said he can't tell me. It's definitely this year. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be summer or fall. There's arguments for both. For some who really want them to like get as much time as they can, because I don't know how you felt about Core 2, but it left a lot to be desired animation wise, which is, I think that's a fair assessment. And so some people want it to be fall. They would, if it's fall, they would have gotten like over a year to do it. And so it's like at that point, like you're expecting some peak stuff right there. If it's summer, they've still gotten a decent amount of time, but it's just maybe a little bit less. So we don't know. Let me see what it's March. I mean, it's March. We're about to go into April. Honestly, if it's gonna be in summer, very soon we're gonna hear something, because they got to start marketing it really, really soon if it's gonna be summer, because the summer season is it'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, no, that's I don't know if I'm experiencing lag again, so apologies if I'm cutting you off. But when it pertains to like, so when Bleach typically drops, it's usually during the fall, right? Like that's how it's been for at least A Thousand Blood Art War, right?
I know, like I think Core 1 was fall, October 2022, and then Core 2 was I think maybe July. Core 2 might have been summer 2023, I think. So yeah, it's we've gone 2 so far, 2 out of 4 so far. 1 was summer, 1 was fall. We know it's absolutely not going to be winter. It's absolutely not going to be spring, because those have already gone. So yeah, we're back now to a summer or fall, which honestly, I'm one aspect at least that I'm a little bit frustrated by, even if you want to call it that, is like when Bleach was first coming out in Bleach in in fall 2022. It's like, hey, Bleach is coming back, and they put us up against Chainsaw Man and My Hero Academia and all these shows. I was like, God, like, bro, what? Why are we going up against the big boys? And Bleach did really good. Like, it did not get lost in all the sauce and whatever, because I don't know how much you guys care about stuff like that, but like the season that you debut in has a huge impact on how popular you'll be, because if you debut during a season when there's nothing else that's popular, you're the only thing that people are going to be watching, and so your popularity just balloons and explodes. That's what happened with Spy X Family. When Spy X Family broke out, the reason why it got popular, there was nothing else to watch, and so everybody just watched it. It was great, and then the moment Spy X Family went up against actual big boys, it just completely couldn't keep up. And so it's very funny for me that they put us up against My Hero Academia, and I think Rurouni Kenshin's reboot, and Chainsaw Man. And then the next time we were coming out, it was like, you know what we're gonna do next? We're gonna put you up against Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. And I'm like, bro, please stop putting us up against these MAPPA shows. Like MAPPA is a behemoth. I mean, I think Demon Slayer might have been airing at the same time as. We can't keep up with these dudes. Like, please cut us some slack. It's insane. So, yeah,
I like that they kind of like they went from Vinland Saga, and then later that year, then Bleach came back. I like that they're at least doing that because favorite anime, right? But how do you? I think there's definitely like it gets saturated a little bit because other animes tend to shine more. But it did very well. It did very well, and the support was there. And a lot of people that previously publicly did not support it, I think that it made them try to take a second look, which is good. And so for when like I don't know why I feel the need to talk about Heavenly Delusion. Have you seen Heavenly Delusion?
Oh no. Oh no. I haven't seen Heavenly Delusion. I've seen episode 1. I don't know what your opinion is. I don't know if I'm about to hurt your feelings or help. I don't know what I'm about to do here.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'll take the risk. Okay. Full disclosure. I have what you call beef with a term on Twitter or in the anime sphere called Sakuga enthusiasts. I don't know if you've met these guys. All they care about is the animation. Oh, look at this animation. That's all they care about. And I hate those guys. No. I hate those guys. And so for me, it's almost to a point where it's nonsensical, where if the Sakuga bros say that this show is great, I'm like, this show stinks. I immediately go the other way because I do not rate those guys. And so shows like Freyren, they go one way, I'm like, I'm going the other way. Shows like Heavenly Delusion, they go one way, I go the other way. Recently, what's going to come up with Don, or is that the name? Don? Yeah, I'm already prepping to go the other way because if the moment they go one way, I'm like, nah, I'm going the other way. So yes, I hate Heavenly Delusion. I've only seen one episode of it, but I hate it because anytime I see anything on it, it's just like all the Sakuga, and it makes me salty, and I hate it. So yeah, I hate it because Bleach doesn't have it. So it's purely Bleach fueled.
That's essentially, I think that's exactly why, because I feel like I do a similar thing with JJK where people hype it up and it makes me not want to watch it anymore. Like I'm like, I see the hype and I'm like, I'll delay it another week. And then it's just the same. And then but what I think of Heavenly Delusion, it came off very. One thing that piqued my interest, and I kind of saw previews of it before I even heard about it, and I started to like look into it. And when it came out, like I do something to where like whenever something comes out and I'm like, I'm going to watch this, I'm not going to look at any spoilers or especially if the animes come out and I haven't read the manga yet. I'm watching the anime until up to the point where it's stopping, and if I want to read the anime or not, I will then read the anime. Read the manga.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, but I will fully close myself off from all things that will basically spoil or paint a bad light, because I know either one, it won't allow me to take a step back. I will be involved. I'll be basically I'll turn into an advocate, right? Instead of just like someone that can step back and constructively criticize it for what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I honestly didn't get much bad. It was, I thought it was pretty good for most of the anime that comes out nowadays. I thought that it was very something that can something that was refreshing. And something else that came up that made me want to look into it was that it was possibly the next or the better, which was I can't say that that's something that I didn't hear, is that it was going to be like Promised Neverland, right? I'm sorry, I dried that out. Which is, and so
is that a good
for
thing?
that, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, because I love Promised Neverland.
They did you dirty, bro. They did you dirty.
They did me dirty. Yeah. Shoot. I mean, I'm getting a phone call. But I don't know, Breezy, did you have any questions at all before we decide to
Yeah,
wrap things?
I mean,
out?
yeah, Breezy, I would like to know if you've seen Heavily Delusion and what you. I don't know if you have any takes on that.
Yeah, I was currently watching it. I'm currently watching it right now, and I was just the other day I was talking to Zone about it when he was asking about some current stuff I was watching. But I think it's great so far. I would say definitely if you can look past the um the animation nerds push you away from it is definitely worth giving it a watch. I'm only on like 4 episodes in, but I think it's great so far. It's refreshing like Zone was saying as far as like new stuff goes. Cuz I think a lot of reason why we find like with some of the newer anime, and you guys were kind of talking about it, I think it draws just a little bit too much inspiration from things that we've seen a little bit earlier. So it
Hmm.
kind of doesn't really feel like you're watching anything new. You know what I mean? You're seeing sort of like the same tropes over and over again. And I
Yeah.
think like with us, it's just like, oh man, I've seen this already. But
Hmm.
I definitely would say it's something refreshing. I would give that one a watch. I wanted
Okay, I
I
see.
wanted to ask you though, with the Hell arc, when that does come to fruition for Bleach, do you think that we will see because of the way it was explained that Hell works? Do you think we'll see like a return of like some of the old characters in the show or villains in the show that have died?
I every sign points to yes. I initially was gonna, I mean, I was about to make the mistake of assuming it would be Super Captains only, but Xylopero, who's a Hollow, who is an evil Hollow at that, he went to hell. So I think any Hollow that was morally evil enough to deserve hell would probably be in hell if Xylopero is there. Like Noitora would be there, Zomari would be there. I don't know if Stark would be there because like even though Stark was like on the hollow side, he wasn't really bad. Like
Right.
he half the time didn't want to do anything at all. You
Right.
know, like Okiora might have been bad, but right before he died, he actually understood heart and would seemingly he would die good, even though he might have lived a life badly. Hardy Bell's alive, so it doesn't matter there. But so yes, I think we would see like would Gin Ichimaru be in well, I mean, if they did a what's the ritual called? The shoot. Come on, my Kubology is failing me. The uh okay, I need to find like the ritual that they do to send the captains to hell. Hell
Uh,
arc ritual. I'm sorry, I want to know this. Conser no. Um shoot, that's
I think I
embarrassing.
know. I know what you're talking about though.
Right, yeah. If
Yeah.
they, I wonder if they did that ritual for Genichimaru because if they did it, then he would be in hell. If they did it for Unohana, then she would be there. Yamamoto, he would be there. Ukitake, we know Ukitake is there. And then Kubo showing us the original first generation captains, showing us their battle with the Quincy 1,000 years ago, and giving us their names and everything. It's like the only and the timing of it too, because when Kubo did that, it was coinciding. Well, I don't, well, maybe it didn't coincide it might have coincided with the release of the Hell Arc volume. I think that's what it was. But like Kubo doesn't do that if he's not going to use them. There's no reason for him to do that. So we might be heading towards a showdown between every former captain in Soul Reaper history, plus the ones that we have killed. I mean, plus the ones that we put there ourselves against the current Gotei 13. And I don't know about you, bro, but they might be getting washed. Because aside from, like, if you look at the modern day captains right now, unless you're a Kenpachi, like if you just think about like the big boys right now, a Kenpachi, a Toshiro, a Shunsui, a Rukia, and then Mayuri, because Mayuri is just crazy. He just comes up with crazy stuff. But if you're not one of those 5 dudes, anybody else, you're getting washed.
You're getting slammed, yeah,
instantly. You're not making it, which is hilarious. And so I don't know, like if Yamamoto pulls up, like who's gonna say anything to Yamamoto? Who's stopping that dude? No. Kubo has something special on his hands, bro. This could feed families for generations. What Kubo's got here. Great stuff.
Do you think that for the Bleach universe, Kazui, sorry, let me rephrase that. Do you think Kazui has the Almighty?
Well, I don't know.
Let me say something. Do you think that does Ichigo have the Almighty? We'll leave it at that.
There was a time that I thought he might. I no longer necessarily think that he does. I don't think so. I think that it would. I don't think that it would thematically make sense for the story of Bleach, because the Almighty is like a fancy way of like, oh, I have the power to see and control the future. It's a fancy way of saying fate manipulation. Yuha is controlling fate. I don't know that it would make thematic sense for Ichigo to be that, when Kubo was saying that, oh no, Ichigo's the one who's controlling fate, Ichigo's the one who's shattering fate. And so I don't know that it would be thematically accurate for Ichigo to have that power. Now Kazui, I'm like, not only would it make sense, I want it to happen. I literally want it to happen, because like what we know of Kazui, like there are some things we don't, but what we absolutely know about Kazui Kurosaki is that he's able to summon these fish to ride on, which is I think the only other time we've seen Soul Reapers create like these physical animalistic constructs is like Unohana had this like manta ray that she used to ride. I don't know that anybody else has like lifelike animals just to use, which honestly I feel like Kubo retconned that, because she literally never used that manta ray ever again. I think Kubo must not have decided that he wanted her to be a badass by then. But he's able to summon these fish, which is like eerily similar to the Hell Arc talking about 2 fish and 1 fish died and then the other fish became stronger. So I'm like, okay, that's, first of all, that's crazy. Secondly, Kazui's like the second, after Ichigo, the second Soul Reaper who doesn't disconnect his physical body from his spiritual body. Because typically, like OG Bleach, Rukia puts on the glove and she slams Ichigo, and then the soul separates from the body. Or Ichigo has his combat pass and he'll touch himself and the soul separates from the body. Or he uses Kon's Gigongan and separates the soul from the body. Kazui doesn't do that. He faked being asleep, jumped out the window, and as he was falling, he just put the Soul Reaper on top of his human form and summoned a fish and ride it to a place and opened a portal to hell and took a dude who had no idea what he was doing and put him in there. I'm like, who is this kid? What is he doing? I'm like, yo,
yeah, crazy stuff. Like,
he needs the Almighty.
He's having fun.
And I think I apologize. In the last chapter of Bleach, when Yuha's power was like, I don't know, like 686, right? Yuha's power was like floating around the last vestiges of it. And Kazui saw a hole, which was like, I think it was kind of like Yuha about to do some crazy stuff. And he stuck his all in there and he absorbed it and it erased. And he just, like, he did something. I'm like, this kid is like, bro, Boruto, if you see Kazui, like, don't talk to him. Don't talk to this dude, all right? He will destroy you. Just go. Just go. I'm sorry. Please.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's due to like ego. Funny enough, there are ego clones now in the Boruto universe, but I don't know if it's due to their ego. But I don't see, even with my theories of Boruto, I don't foresee that them touching Bleach. Even at like a surface level, I feel like the strongest guy apparently now. So my idea of like the Otsutsuki God, I believe is like two different people. There they there's a it seems as if right most people would assume, because they showed us two different type of people. They showed us like someone that ascended, and then they showed us an Otsutsuki God, but those two people look nothing alike. So that person that ascended, right, I'm assuming that would be the equivalent of anyone in Bleach, any Soul Reaper, right? And then that person that ascended would be like the equivalent of the Soul King. And so that's how I would kind of correlate that, just because they're so like it would make sense to make that correlation with Shueisha's big three. I don't know. I'm very curious. Not of Shiba, but of like they're not, Kazu, like, will it end with him becoming the new Soul King? Like, will he just roam and kind of function as the existing Soul King? Or was his existence now? Um, is that like a repercussion of the Soul King dying, or is the Soul King even dead still? Like, can he come back?
Yeah, that's well, I don't. Well, I think to begin with, I don't believe that the Soul King's coming back. I think Yuha absorbed. Yuha killed him and absorbed him straight up. I think, and I think that's like point blank period on that level. And luckily for us, right now, we don't need to have anyone stand in for the Soul King, because Yuha's dead body is doing the job for us, because it's not a good job. It's one of the worst jobs you can get, to be
punishment, basically.
I hope Aizen knew what he was doing, because bro, I don't think you want that job. Then again, bro is stuck in Chair Sama, and it's still like if there's one thing that I want the anime to change, other than all the random stuff that it does, it's the I don't know if you guys remember, and maybe a spoiler alert. I don't know. I assume you guys have read Bleach. It's like when Aizen was in the chair and they were trying to go to the Soul King's palace. What he actually tried to do, which he was fully confident in his ability to do it, was he was about to use Kuro Hitsugi to literally draw and pull down the Soul King's palace from all the way high. Like it was supposed to take like 7 days to journey up from the Soul King's palace through here. You got to go through like 72 layers to get there. This man was casually sitting in a chair that's restricting his energy, about to just pull it down with sheer gravity and epicness, just draw it all the way down to the Serite. I'm like, he wasn't able to do it in the manga because Mayuri stopped him. I'm like, please, the anime, let him. I just want to see the epicness of Aizen just nuking this thing right out of the sky. It would have been epic. But Kazui, I don't think there's any need for Kazui to become the Soul King, because we already have an inanimate object serving the role. And so I don't know that he would become that. And I also think that for the Hell Arc, we're leaving Soul King business to go to like Hell Arc, quote, warden business. Because when Kubo, this is one of the mistakes that the manga translation made, is that like when the ghouls showed up, because the official manga translation called them like beasts of hell, which is like, we already have beasts in Bleach. That's Komamura and Co, which is like a huge, I don't know how they made that mistake. It was a massive mistake, because we already have that. The more accurate translation is ghouls, which makes more sense because we're dealing with hell. So these new beings are ghouls, and there's somebody that they called like the warden of hell, like a warden character. So I feel like we're leaving Soul King stuff. We're now dealing with whoever is the warden of hell. And I'll end this. I'll end it with this. When the noble houses, Kubo has given us every name of the noble houses that formed society except one. the one who was in charge of hell. And when we asked Kubo, hey, who is that Nibble House? Kubo says, I'm not telling you. So he must have plans for it. He must have plans there.
That seems like the obvious conclusion. I mean, I feel like that's sort of implied. You know, I mean, I don't know. I'd be very curious. What if it's not? Like, who else could it be? You know,
The Wharton character, you mean?
yes.
It's probably going to be a new character overall. Maybe it would be the head of the clan that he doesn't want to say. Maybe he's the warden of hell. I mean, like, bro, Kubo's he's a fucking genius, bro. It's so genius because like I can sympathize with the Soul Reapers because they existed in a world where they were being chased and eaten by the Hollows, and they wanted to create something new, but they're human, and so they have like vices. So they created a new world for everyone, but they put themselves at the top, controlling everyone like puppets. And it's like because the world they created was artificial and not natural, they had to do so much in order to preserve it. They had to establish so many rules in order to keep it going. One of the rules being you can't have too much of souls on one side, otherwise the other side will collapse. And so now it's like we have all these powerful captains. If we keep them here, the world will be destroyed. So we have to put them somewhere. You know what? Let's put them in hell. However, they probably thought like captains live for thousands of years. Like you have to encounter a really powerful dude for a captain to die. And so they probably never thought that they would have to deal with any issue like who's going to beat Yamamoto, who's beating Unohana. But then here comes Yuha. Yuha beats Yamamoto. Unohana dies. All these captains get killed. All these Soul Reapers, like Yuha himself dies. Aizen gets sealed. And like as a direct result of them trying to fight against nature and fate, they welcome the biggest, baddest bad boy of all, which is now hell is like, thank you for giving us all these Soul Reapers and all these captains. We're gonna like send them right back to you to kill you all. And it's like, oh wow, okay. It's like Kubo was cooking. He was in the kitchen, Gordon Ramsay style. He was in there.
Do you think that there is possibly a counterbalance? 'Cause I feel like there's this has also been a theory and soon to come to a close. But I did want to ask this question. Do you think there could be like each I guess universe would be like a counterbalance to its own or counterbalance to another? Do you think that's possible?
I think so. Because the weird thing here is that like there are four races which are counterbalanced to each other. I've forgotten the actual relationship. Like I remember I called it like the Bleach balance equation, where it's like Hollow. I think Shinigami opposite to Quincy and Hollow are opposite to Human. And so when Kisuke, Kubo did such good work with this. Like when Kisuke wanted to heal holification, it was like, okay, so a Soul Reaper has been infected with Hollow. And so in order to counter it, I need a human and I need which one's left? A human and Human and Quincy to counter it. And that's how Kisuke was able to save the Vizard's lives. And that's how he saved Masaki's life. It's you counter it with the other two. So like Bleach loves that counter stuff. One is the antithesis to the other, and so you have the other, they'll cancel each other out. And so in my mind, it's like if the only problem I run into using that train of thought is that like the human world, the world of the living is not mimicking, but like it's opposed to Hueco Mundo. And the Soul Reaper world should be opposed to the Quincy world, but like the Quincy's never had a world. They were just like hiding in the shadows. So I imagine maybe the Soul Reaper world is mimicking hell. And so then with that train of thought, then yes, the Soul Society would be the counter to hell. Yeah, that would make sense.
I thought so too. I'm still trying to figure out like the exact, like if that's true, and I think it's very well true. I don't I haven't found anything that has really kind of made me question whether it's not. So I mean, that's kind of the point that I've kind of come to as well.
It's absolutely true. Actually, the more I think about it, because the story that Kubo told about the fish, he had 2 goldfish. One was small, one was big, or something like that. And then one died. And then when one died, the other got stronger. It's basically Soul Society in Hell. Soul Society was thriving, but then they lost all these powerful dudes, and now Hell got stronger. So I'm like, you probably like, I don't even think it's a theory. Like that's definitely what Kubo is saying right there.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Wow.
So you might be cooking there. Yeah.
Any last questions from the chat?
Let me say.
Breezy, anything? Flame, it's been a fantastic time. I know we're almost at 2 hours now, so I don't know if it's we're overcooking the wheel here, but
I'm having so much fun. You guys are great.
I really appreciate you for stopping by. Like I can't tell you the last time I've had this much fun.
I want to come back. Like, make me come back, please.
Yeah,
talk other stuff, not Bleach stuff. I want I want to talk with you. I want to talk anime with you guys. You guys are cool. I want to talk anime with you.
Hell yeah! No, we'll figure out something. We'll figure out something. We don't just watch Bleach, but we love all of the big three. Fortunately today we got an opportunity to kind of talk more about the concepts, some of the concepts in Bleach that people don't typically understand. And of course, you guys, if you guys are new to my channel, if you're new to his channel, definitely go and check out his channel. I know a lot of our guys are. Some of our guys are One Piece and Boruto, Naruto fans. Definitely go and check them out. We also have like definitely in the Discord some gamer guys. Go and check them out. If you're not sure how to get started into Bleach, I think Flame's your guy. Go and check him out. I know a lot of your supporters have stopped by, so definitely thank you guys for stopping by as well. Breezy.
I enjoyed the stream. Come on, come on anytime. One more thing I wanted to say. Back to the fish analogy that you were making real quick. Immediately, like when I read that piece when it was talking about the 2 big fish, and I think it does reference the 2 worlds, the Soul Society, but also think that when you were talking about Kazui giving bad vibes, like I was thinking back to when you were saying like he had that white hoodie and the golden hair. And goldfish, I mean they're orange, but they're also, they're also gold. So I was thinking like he could be like one of the fish that were referenced, like a sort of a double entendre kind of thing, like it can mean multiple things. Whereas somebody might die or something major might happen to somebody or something that may cause Kazui to rise up and flourish some way, maybe in a bad or an ominous way. But I just wanted to add that where my thoughts were going with it. But other than
you might be onto something there. Like it reminded me of one thought process that I had with like Bleach has this weird like Bleach is one of those shows that really doesn't shy away from like relationships between fathers and sons, specifically like with like Uryu and Ishin. Uryu and Ryukin. Their father-son relationship super complicated. Kubo does not shy away from, like Ishin, probably the best anime dad ever. Ishin and Ichigo, love those two. Actually, yeah. Okay, so am I able to share my screen? I found the picture with Kazui. I think I should be able to show you guys.
Okay.
Let me share screen. I apologize.
No, you're good.
So can you see my screen right here?
Yeah.
This is the picture I'm talking about right here. How is this guy not evil? Like hoodie with the eyes condescendingly, and Kubo is like, and I'm gonna call it holy. Like he's being so ironic with this, clearly. Like that's a beast right there. That's a
Right.
badass beast right there. But to get back to what I was saying, Bleach has this weird subplot here where Yuha refers to the Soul King as his father, and Yuha calls Ichigo his son, born in the dark. Now he's Ichigo is not his literal, I mean, he's his descendant. Like he's the progenitor of all Quincy. So in a way, he is Ichigo's great grandfather or whatever. But like you had Yuha kill his father, and you had Ichigo kill his great grandfather, and now you have Kazui, who might be pushed into a situation where he might have to fight against his father in Ichigo. And it's like, to me, I'm just like, Kubo could go so many ways with this right here. I mean, I think here you just have the Kurosaki people: Ichigo's mom, Kazui, and then Orihime. Which Orihime looks a lot like. Anyway, I don't want to go there. Anyway, so yeah.
Now I'm
so
thinking, like,
you're
could
on
he be a
something.
threat? Like, could he be the threat?
Absolutely. He's definitely something.
I mean, yeah, like threat. Like, I mean, because fish also could represent yin and yang. I'm gonna keep rambling. I mean,
This is what Kubo does to us.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And this is why, you guys should check out Bleach if you haven't. They'll figure it out eventually. But no, yeah, for sure. We'll definitely try to have more conversations down the line. Flame of Rebirth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for stopping by. Hopefully we did you guys justice by helping to create a level of transparency within Bleach and all things anime. Thank you for joining us again, Breezy, of course, our host, and Psych. Hopefully we'll see you next time. He'll definitely be here next time.
Oh yeah, I need to
I
need to get you guys over to my side as well if I can steal you for a few shows or whatever, because I've been looking for people to podcast with, honestly, but it's so important to have like chemistry, and I'm like, we got it right here, like we got it. We have it.
Absolutely. I one thing that I probably should start to talk about more is Tower of God. That's one thing I've been following more frequently, and I feel like it's been doing a little bit more of a better job than One Piece in some aspects and Oda in some aspects. SIU is just there. But I try to dive into different aspects of not only manhwa, manga as well, different forms of literature. But that's just what I do. But we talk about all things. Yeah, it sounds like a good time to me. What I'm saying. And I'm sure Breezy would agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you guys for stopping by. I think I'm going to wrap it up now. And then yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Peace.
Right. Peace.